July 4th, 1997, Las Vegas. A slot machine erupts, $3.7 million jackpot, the largest jackpot in Nevada history. Security rushes over, champagne appears, cameras flash. But 10 minutes ago, the exact same thing happened on the opposite side of the casino floor, another $1 million win. The odds of this happening? 1 in 847 billion. In the surveillance room, pit bosses replay the footage frame by frame, sweating through their shirts. Something's wrong. These machines don't just randomly explode with money. Yet the tapes show nothing suspicious, just lucky winners celebrating. What they don't see is 3 people near each machine who never look at the jackpot, not once. They're watching the exits instead. One wears a baseball cap pulled low. His name is Dennis Nikrasch, and over 20 years, he's quietly stolen $16 million from Vegas slots using a method so elegant, manufacturers swore it was impossible. How did he beat unbeatable machines? And how was finally caught the uncatchable ghost? Chicago, 1961. A 20-year-old Dennis McAndrew sits across from 2 detectives in a windowless interrogation room. They've caught him inside a Genovese family warehouse with $47,000 in stolen electronics. The detective on the left slides a yellow legal pad across the metal table, asking him to write the names of his accomplices. Dennis knows what happens to people who write names for the Chicago PD. They disappear. Sometimes pieces of them wash up in Lake Michigan. Sometimes they don't wash up at all. The detective on the right leans forward, threatening him with 10 years in prison. Dennis pushes the pad back unsigned. The Genovese family remembers loyalty. 10 years is better than forever. 10 years later, when he walks out of Stateville Correctional Center in 1971, the Chicago mob gives him $25,000 cash and a phone number in Las Vegas. New city, new identity. His mother's maiden name was Nikrasch, close enough to McAndrew that he won't forget it, different enough that Illinois prosecutors won't find him. The desert makes people disappear in useful ways. Dennis arrives in Vegas driving a brown Oldsmobile with everything he owns in the trunk. The city runs on 3 currencies: cash, credit, and exploitation, and he understands all 3. But standing on Fremont Street that first night, watching drunk tourists pour coins into slot machines, he sees something the casinos don't want anyone to notice. Every machine has a lock, and every lock has a weakness. He rents a studio apartment 4 blocks off the strip and buys a used bally slot machine for $1,200 from a casino liquidator who doesn't ask questions. While other ex-cons would blow their mob severance on cocaine and showgirls, Dennis spends his on a slot machine and a set of precision lockpicks from a surgical supply company. The bally machine sits in his living room like a patient on an operating table. He removes the screws to access the mechanism. Inside, 3 mechanical reels spin. When the reels align on cherries or sevens, a contact plate completes a circuit that dumps coins. The whole system depends on random chance, unless you can access the reels directly. The door lock is a standard pin tumbler, identical to what Bally uses on every machine from Reno to Atlantic City. Dennis fashions a tension wrench from a windshield wiper blade. It takes him 6 days to pick the lock consistently, 4 days to get it down to 30 seconds, 2 days to hit 15 seconds in the dark. But opening the door triggers an alarm, a magnetic switch connected to a circuit that screams to the surveillance room. Dennis traces the wire to a hidden kill switch behind the coin acceptor. Casino techs use it to service machines without setting off alarms. They get 5 seconds of silence after opening the door, 5 seconds to flip the switch before security arrives. Dennis practices until muscle memory takes over. Pick the lock, open the door, and hit the kill switch. That leaves 1 second to spare. 1 second between invisible and infamous. With the alarm disabled, he can manually spin the reels to any position. Line up 3 sevens, close the door, and pull the handle. The machine reads it as a legitimate win. No tampered circuits, no damaged components. Just a lucky pull that wasn't lucky at all. On February 15, 1976, Dennis enters the Stardust Casino at 3:17 a.m., the optimal time when dealers change shifts and surveillance rooms run skeleton crews. He orders a whiskey sour from a waitress named Carol, who's worked there 9 years and will later tell investigators she never noticed him. He tips her $5, establishing himself as just another generous drunk. He chooses a Bally Dollar Deluxe in the corner, partially hidden behind a pillar. His hands shake as he drops the first coin. Not from fear, from adrenaline. This is what he went to prison for. This is what 10 years bought him. The lock yields in 11 seconds, disables the kill switch, and aligns the reels. He closes the door and pulls the handle like he's done it 1,000 times in his apartment. Because he has. Lights flash, sirens wail. 900 silver dollars fall into the tray, the maximum payout for this model. Other gamblers rush over to congratulate him. He acts surprised, scoops the coins into buckets, and walks to the cashier. $900 for 15 seconds of work. He'll hit 3 more casinos before sunrise. By dawn, he's $4,100 richer, and no one suspects a thing. The casinos assume they're having a bad night. The slots are paying out, but that's what slots do sometimes. Dennis has discovered something beautiful. You can steal in plain sight if you make it look like luck. But how long until luck runs out? And what happens when a Chicago locksmith starts thinking bigger than $900 at a time? By December 1978, Dennis has a system. Tuesday through Thursday, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m., when casinos run on autopilot. He rotates between 23 properties, never hitting the same place twice in a month. His take averages $7,000 per night, 3 nights per week. That's $1,092,000 per year, tax-free. He buys a house in Spanish Hills with cash, telling neighbors he's a real estate developer. He owns 17 tailored suits and a black Lincoln Continental with suicide doors. But he never flashes wealth inside casinos. On the floor, he wears polyester shirts from JCPenney and scuffed tennis shoes. He looks like every other degenerate gambler chasing rent money. The technique evolves. He discovers that strong neodymium magnets can manipulate the reels through the machine's metal casing. No need to open the door on certain models. He maps which casinos use which machines, memorizing serial numbers and software versions. The Golden Nugget runs old Jennings models vulnerable to magnet attacks. Caesar's Palace just upgraded to electronic IGT machines he hasn't cracked yet. Information becomes currency. On May 8, 1985, he attempts his biggest score yet, a $10,000 progressive jackpot at the Desert Inn. He's done this 1,847 times without getting caught. Pick the lock, kill the alarm, set the reels, close the door. It's all muscle memory. Except tonight, the Desert Inn has a new security guard named Tommy Castillo, fresh from Metro PD, working his 3rd shift ever. Tommy's been told to walk the floor randomly to never establish patterns. At 2:47 a.m., he turns a corner and sees something that doesn't fit. A man crouched beside a slot machine, its door cracked open an inch. Not wide enough to see inside, but open nonetheless. Dennis hears footsteps and freezes. He's got the reels set, 2 seconds from closing the door. But Tommy's already running. Dennis slams the door shut and spins toward the exit. Tommy tackles him beside a roulette table, Tourists scream and chips scatter across green felt. "I was just checking if my quarter was stuck," Dennis says, calm as ice water. But security finds his lockpicks. They find the magnets. They find green felt. "I was just checking if my quarter was stuck," Dennis says, calm as ice water. But security finds his lockpicks. They find the magnets. They find $8,700 in cash from tonight's earlier hits. Dennis McAndrew, aka Dennis Nikrasch, is arrested for casino theft, conspiracy, and possession of cheating devices. Nevada prosecutors offer him a deal, reveal how much he's stolen and from where, and they'll recommend 5 years instead of 15. Dennis laughs. He's stolen approximately $10 million, but he tells them $50,000. They don't believe him, but they can't prove otherwise. No casino wants to admit they've been robbed blind for a decade. Bad for business. Dennis gets 7 years, serves 5. When he walks out of Lompoc Federal Prison in March 1991, Las Vegas has transformed. The mechanical slots are gone, replaced by computerized random number generators. No more physical reels to manipulate. No more magnetic attacks. The new machines run on software, circuit boards, and microchips. The casinos think they've finally beaten Dennis Nikrasch. Dennis stands outside the Mirage, watching tourists feed bills into machines with video screens instead of spinning wheels. The games look like arcade cabinets now. Cartoon cherries dance across LCD displays. Everything's different except for one detail: they still have locks. And locks are just puzzles waiting for solutions. He needs to learn computers. But a 60-year-old ex-con locksmith doesn't enroll in coding boot camp. He needs a different kind of education. He needs someone who speaks both languages, crime and code. How does a mechanical thief crack digital machines? And who in Las Vegas trusts a man fresh out of federal prison? Eugene Bulgarino owns a computer repair shop on East Charleston Boulevard and runs sportsbook operations the FBI pretends not to know about. In 1973, he and Dennis shared a cell for 6 months in Cook County Jail. Dennis kept his mouth shut when prosecutors offered him a deal to flip on Eugene, and Eugene remembers that. Eugene's been washing money through legitimate businesses for 18 years. He's never pulled a heist, but he's financed plenty. Dennis needs $30,000 to buy 2 state-of-the-art IGT machines and space to work on them. Eugene writes a check that night. They rent a warehouse in North Las Vegas, telling the landlord they're starting an arcade repair business. Over 6 months, they dissect the IGTS Plus and Vision Series machines down to the last resistor. The main board contains an EPROM chip, erasable programmable read-only memory. This chip determines when the random number generator triggers a win. Eugene writes code for 16 hours straight, eyes bloodshot, empty Red Bull cans forming a pyramid. He's creating a parasite program that hijacks the machine's normal function. For 60 seconds after installation, the chip forces the RNG to hit maximum payout on every pull. Then it wipes itself clean, leaving no trace except money in the tray. Dennis handles the physical challenge, accessing the motherboard without triggering alarms. The new machines have motion sensors, door contacts, and light detectors. But they still need technician access panels, and those panels have locks. Dennis can pick locks underwater, blindfolded, with his hands tied. A computerized slot machine is just a lock with extra steps. They test the rigged chip on December 3, 1995. Dennis installs it in under 20 seconds. Eugene pulls the handle and triple diamonds align on the screen. The hopper dumps $1,000 in tokens. They run it 17 more times, 17 jackpots in a row. The chip deletes itself on schedule, reverting the machine to normal operation. "We need people," Dennis says. I can't claim jackpots anymore. My face is in every surveillance database from here to Laughlin. Eugene recruits his brother Michael, who recruits his girlfriend Jennifer, who brings her cousin David. Dennis finds Tommy and Patricia Lund, married couple who've been running credit card scams since the 80s. Word spreads through careful whispers. By spring 1996, they have a crew of 12, each vetted, each with a role, each understanding that snitches don't just get stitches in this family. If you like this, hit subscribe, because what happens next changed how every casino in the world protects their slots. The rehearsals run like military operations. Dennis draws casino layouts on the warehouse floor with chalk. X marks cameras, O marks blind spots. They drill entries and exits until everyone can find their position with eyes closed. The blockers learn to look natural while standing in exact locations that obstruct camera views. The lookouts memorize security rotation schedules. The claimers practice their surprised faces in mirrors. Dennis breaks down the mathematics. He takes 50% for planning and chips. Eugene gets 20% for programming. The remaining 30% splits among 10 crew members, 3% each. On a $100,000 score, Patricia makes $3,000 for 6 minutes of work. She stays, they all stay. $3,000 for pulling a handle beats working legitimate jobs. But resentment is a seed that grows in dark places. And Dennis just planted 10 of them. What happens when someone decides 3% isn't enough? How much money can they steal before the casinos notice patterns? June 6, 1996. The Luxor's pyramid glows against the desert sky. Inside, 2,400 slot machines ring and flash across 120,000 square feet. Dennis has studied the floor for 6 weeks. He knows that camera 47 has a dead zone between machines 1,847 and 1,851. He knows the security guard takes a bathroom break at 11:15 p.m. He knows the IGT double diamond in position 1,849 hasn't paid out in 3 days, making it a prime target nobody's watching. The crew enters through different doors between 10:45 and 11:05. Jennifer wears a blonde wig and sunglasses, looking like a drunk divorcee. Michael carries a camcorder, playing tourist. They don't acknowledge each other. At 11:16, Michael and 2 blockers form a human wall, arguing loudly about football while standing in camera 47's sightline. Dennis approaches machine 1849, kneels like he's tying his shoe, and picks the access panel lock in 9 seconds. The chip slides into the motherboard. He closes the panel and walks away. Jennifer sits down at 11:18, feeds a $20 bill into the machine, and pulls the handle. The screen explodes with lights, 777s across all 5 lines. The progressive meter reads $87,650. She screams, not acting, genuinely startled by the amount. Tourists rush over. Security arrives. The floor manager verifies the win, while Jennifer cries happy tears. 4 hours later, she collects a check from the casino cage. By morning, it's cashed and divided. Dennis keeps $43,825. Jennifer gets $2,629. Everyone else splits the remains. The Luxor never realizes their machine was compromised. They hit Treasure Island 4 days later, $125,000. Then Harrah's, $65,000. The Rio, $95,000. Each heist follows the same blueprint, but Dennis adjusts details. Different times, different machines, different crew configurations. Pattern recognition is how casinos catch thieves. Dennis gives them no patterns. By January 1997, they've stolen $6.3 million. Dennis buys a mansion in Spanish Trail Country Club paying cash through a shell company. Eugene invests in legitimate businesses to wash the money. The crew members blow their cuts on cars, clothes, and cocaine, drawing exactly the kind of attention Dennis warned against. Tommy Lund shows up to rehearsal in a new Corvette. Won it in a poker game, he claims. Dennis knows better. Desperate gamblers don't win Corvettes. They win bus fare home if they're lucky. The tension cracks on July 3, 1997. Patricia Lund confronts Dennis in the warehouse. Dennis considers his options. He could cut her in for more, but then everyone wants more. He could cut her out entirely, but she knows too much. He chooses option 3, one last massive score, then everyone walks away rich. Tomorrow night, the Megabucks progressive is at $3.7 million. Patricia agrees. So does everyone else. Nobody mentions that one last job is what everyone says before they get caught. But $3.7 million divided 12 ways still means retirement money. July 4th, 1997. The same night, the hook began. While fireworks light up the Vegas sky, Dennis installs his chip in a Megabucks machine at 11:20 p.m. The crew executes flawlessly. Patricia pulls the handle at 11:31 p.m. The largest slot jackpot in Nevada history hits exactly as programmed. But Patricia doesn't scream. She doesn't cry. She stares at the $3.7 million flashing on screen and smiles, the smile of someone who's already decided what comes next. 3 hours later, while Dennis counts money in his Spanish Trail mansion, Patricia Lund sits in her car outside the FBI field office, weighing whether revenge is worth more than 3%. What detail did the surveillance cameras capture that night? Who makes the phone call that brings down an empire? Patricia Lund walks into the FBI Las Vegas field office at 8:47 a.m. on November 18, 1997. She doesn't want immunity. She doesn't want witness protection. She just wants Dennis Nikrasch in federal prison. She provides dates, casinos, amounts. She draws the warehouse layout from memory. She names every crew member and their roles. She explains the EPROM chips, though she doesn't understand the technical details. And Special Agent Dale Cooper assigns 6 agents to investigate Patricia's claims. The FBI pulls surveillance footage from 12 casinos. They watch Patricia win $3.7 million at Harrah's. They watch Jennifer hit jackpots at Luxor, Treasure Island, and Rio. Same faces appearing at different random wins. The pattern Dennis worked to avoid finally emerges, painted in familiar faces across a dozen casino floors. But video isn't proof of tampering. The FBI needs physical evidence, the chips, the tools, something that proves these weren't legitimate wins. They need Dennis to confess, or they need to catch him in the act. Agent Cooper approaches Eugene Bulgarino first, arresting him on unrelated sports booking charges. They offer a deal: wear a wire, get Dennis talking, or face 20 years for racketeering. Eugene's 63 years old. For him, 20 years is a death sentence, so he agrees to cooperate. June 1st, 1998. Dennis invites Eugene to dinner at his Spanish Trail mansion. Eugene wears a Nagra recorder taped to his chest, sweating through his shirt despite the air conditioning. They eat steaks and drink wine while the FBI listens from a van outside. "Remember that night at Harrah's?" Dennis says, cutting into his ribeye. $3.7 million, largest score in history. "Beautiful work," Eugene responds, following the FBI's script. "I've been thinking about one more. The Megabucks at MGM Grand is approaching $17 million. One chip, one pull, and we disappear forever." Eugene forces himself to act interested while Dennis details the plan. Dates, times, Positions: everything the FBI needs for conspiracy charges. They talk for 2 hours and 43 minutes. Dennis confesses to 37 different heists, approximately $16 million stolen, though he hints the real number is higher. At 4:23 a.m. on June 3, 1998, FBI agents surround Dennis's mansion. They don't knock. The battering ram splinters the front door. Dennis wakes to flashlights and shouting, reaching for something beside his bed. Not a gun, but the notebook where he's planned the MGM heist. Agents find 2 complete slot machines in the garage. They find lockpicks, magnets, and 17 EPROM chips programmed for different casino models. They find $387,000 in cash hidden inside a wall safe. They find detailed blueprints for every major casino in Nevada, annotated with camera positions and security schedules. Dennis doesn't resist. He doesn't deny anything. He sits in his silk pajamas while agents catalog evidence, sipping coffee. Patricia brewed an hour before the raid. She's already in custody, along with 9 other crew members. Eugene's been in protective custody since the dinner recording. The federal prosecutor offers Dennis a choice: cooperate fully, explain every detail of the operation, help casinos fix their vulnerabilities, and get 7 years, or stay silent and face 30. Dennis takes the deal. Over 6 weeks, he demonstrates his techniques to gaming control board officials. He picks their newest unpickable locks in under 10 seconds. He shows them 14 different vulnerabilities in machines they considered secure. He explains how a 60-year-old man with no computer training orchestrated the largest casino heist in history. Casinos spend $300 million upgrading security based on Dennis's revelations. They install biometric locks, infrared sensors, and real-time alert systems. They redesign motherboards to detect foreign chips. They create the Black Book, photos and descriptions of every known slot cheat, distributed to every casino from Vegas to Monaco. Dennis Nikrasch enters Lompoc Federal Prison on January 15, 1999. He's released on September 20, 2006, banned from every casino in Nevada for life. He moves to California, where he dies in 2010, taking the real total of his theft to the grave. The FBI estimates $16 million. Dennis once told a cellmate it was closer to $40 million, hidden in places nobody would think to look. The Megabucks machine at MGM Grand hit for $21.3 million, 6 months after Dennis's arrest. An elderly woman from Ohio won it, playing her last $5. She pulled the handle once. No chips, no crews, no elaborate plans. Just luck, the one thing Dennis Nikrasch never believed in. Want to see how another group turned Vegas's own rules against them? Watch the MIT students who beat blackjack with science. Next, where math geniuses used probability theory to legally steal millions from casinos, forcing Vegas to rewrite their blackjack rules forever.